Hey guys, what's going on? Absolutely beast here. Wow, you hear that motorcycle just go by? It's friggin' 5 o'clock in the morning, bruh. So anyway, I wanted to bring you a couple races today on Forza 6. This would be an Audi R8 V10, this first race, then it's a Range Rover, and then a Jeep SRT 8, which is really cool. And then the last car is absolutely exceptional. It's a car I've heard about several times. You know, I know kind of roughly about it, and then I've seen it on Top Gear. But I never really drove it. When I drove it here, it's the Caterham Superlight, and man, it blew me away. You know, when I'm sitting here driving all these showcase events, I'm using, you know, a bunch of cars, and a lot of them are just downright crappy. Like the video from the other day with the Hummer and the F100 Ford. I mean, dude, I couldn't even stand driving those cars. I was literally ramming cars at the end of the race so that I wouldn't have to keep driving those things because they just suck. But the Caterham just, man, that thing took me by surprise, and it screamed, and it pulled so hard, and it had such an incredible feel to it. Which is cool because it's like a real classic car in a way, but it's obviously a new variation, new engineered car. So anyway, I wanted to talk today about the driver customization in Forza Motorsport 7. So that's something that I haven't really talked about too much. I've talked about it a couple different times, but I don't have a, oof, that was a hard hit. But yeah, so I haven't really talked about it too much in its own dedicated video, especially. So I just kind of want to talk about the driver customization. That's something that I think will be pretty cool. It's just one of those things that doesn't really add. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say because it does actually add to the gameplay because they've talked about, you know, different things you can unlock and you know, different ways, like when you're in the multiplayer screen or when you're in a lobby screen or like a loading type screen, you're going to be down by the pits sitting in your car. And I don't know why that started recording randomly in the middle. I don't really know, but. So, you know, it's like when you're recording races and stuff, or recording races, man, I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. When you're loading races, you're going to be sitting in the pits, you know, your driver will be like, you know, lean up against a car or something, and I mean, that's really cool because you'll be able to see other people's drivatars and the different stuff they're wearing, and be able to see, you know, different suits they have and stuff like that. So, one of the things that they've said repeatedly is that there's 300 pieces of driver gear, 300 unique pieces of driver gear. So, here's what I'll say, that this is not just a tip for something like this exact scenario, but it's also a tip just for life in general. When someone tells you something like that, you have to consider the source. You know, this is Turn 10 telling us how great their game is, telling us there's going to be 300 unique items. So, I'm not going to, you know, I've heard a lot of people say there's going to be 300 different suits, and I mean, that's not the case. I'm telling you right now, that's not. I don't have any insider information. I'm telling you what I know about how companies talk about their own products and how they push their own products. They're pushing something that they think is an important, man, I was so close almost with that car, you see that? They're pushing something that they think is going to be important to the consumer, the person buying it. And in this case, it's the customization of the driver. So there's absolutely not going to be 300 different you know, suits or whatever. There may be 10 times that as far as, you know, different combinations of stuff you can do. But what I'm saying is, like, you know, what can we really expect to customize? So let's say like helmet and suit and gloves, maybe. I mean, those are really the only three things I can think of. So if they say 300 different items, so if there's, you know, if you can only have those 3 items, even if you break it into those 3, then there's really only going to be 100 items in each category. So there might be 100 different types of gloves. Again, real close. 100 different types of, you know, suits, and maybe 100 different types of helmets, which, you know, sounds like a lot. But, you know, they could be considering like one helmet with a black shield and the same helmet with a yellow shield. They could be, you know, like a visor. They could be considering those unique items. Could be considering those different items. Same with gloves. You know, think about like, you know, red and black gloves versus, you know, gloves that are black with red trim. I mean, those could be considered unique items, and they might just be the same item. So, again, I'm not saying I have any insider information. I'm not saying there's going to be you know, these exact type of things, but I'm just saying, you know, I doubt there's going to be 300 different actual unique pieces of gear, especially if you consider that there's multiple categories of things you can be able to change. There's going to be way less than that. But that's not to say they're not going to be cool. I mean, that's a lot more than we have now. I mean, we have 0 now in Forza Motorsport, so that's quite a bit more than that. You know, I've heard a lot of people say stuff about like the gloves and stuff like that, how cool that'll be, and I totally agree. I think the gloves are going to be sick. You know, especially, you know, those of you that drive first person. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Steve, for talking over me. So, you know, if you're going to be driving, you know, maybe you can have like bedazzled gloves, or maybe you can have gold gloves, or maybe you can have, just different stuff like that. Like, I think Mickey Mouse clothes would be cool, but, I like those sort of little humorous things, only because I take the game so seriously. I'm not about, there was a point in time where, I'm still this way. I hate the people that drive, like, the bright pink cars, like the bright pink and purple cars, or, like, the really flashy ones like that, but to me, there's also something fun about doing that, but then driving really seriously, because if you're really fast and you drive a car like that, people aren't going to think so much of it as they do if you're just like, like I always used to say, look out for that guy. We'd start a race and there would be a dude in like a pink, bright pink car that says, F you on the spoiler, and you just think, well, I wonder if he's going to take the first turn legit, and he never is. But, there's something, a part of me that loves, taking things not seriously while taking them seriously. And, in a way, I guess that's probably why I'm such a big Forza fan, is because this is a game that is not a fully serious game, but I like to take it really seriously. And same with, video games in general. Video games are a hobby for a lot of people, just a piece of entertainment for most people. Most people don't play much more, and that's why I feel so lucky. Sometimes I feel like I'm jaded by saying, oh, I only got to play for 2 or 3 hours, or, I can only play for 4 hours a night now that I'm working this much or whatever. And it's like, man, there's people who don't even play 4 hours a week of video games. There's people who like video games who play like a couple hours a week. There's people who think if you play, most people you talk to, you play an hour of video games a day, they're like, man, don't you have other stuff to do with your life? And it's just like, man, if only you knew how much I really played. So I don't know. I enjoy that part of it. So that'll be cool. They talked about the space suit. They talked about the like a chef suit or a chef outfit, which is cool. But all these things I think are going to add just a layer of depth to the game. That's just it's just one more thing that's just fun. Yeah, that's a terrible one right there. So it's not going to really impact the driving of any sort. But if you're imagine sitting there and you're at a loading screen for the race, and you want to just scroll through and check out the other people's cars and stuff, and check out their stuff, and their driver's going to be leaning there. You can see the suit they have on. You can see the type of stuff they're wearing. One of the things they've talked about, which I've mentioned a few times, but they're going to have specific. Dan Greenewalt was talking about how they're going to have really specific driver gear for specific hard to complete items through the career. So he was talking about very rare suits and pieces of driver gear that you only get for having certain things. And coming up as the caterer that I was talking about, man, it's super, super good. But like he was talking about, in the career, but for finishing the career or for, collecting a large number of cars, there's going to be special suits that you can get that you're only going to be able to get through that. So there's going to be people who are going to see those and be like, oh man, that's so cool. I wish I had that. And they're going to want to, figure out exactly, how they can get that and put in the time. And it's just one more way to showcase, how much you play the game and your skill level and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. Me personally, I'm sure I'll rock like a chef or an astronaut suit. But at the same time, I'm a lot more of like a serious kind of guy in a lot of ways. So I may rock just a regular old driver suit, that Hans device they're talking about. I know it's, meant to keep their head and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure what it does, but that'll probably be what I'm rocking. I'll be doing that kind of stuff because I like just sort of the simple. Like, I'm the guy online. I know you guys have all seen a guy like me online. I'm the guy online that has like just a single tone car. Like, I may have like the mirrors painted and the rims painted black, but then everything else in the car, maybe like a carbon fiber hood, but everything else is all just monochrome. Sort of a simple person in that respect. But yeah, so I think the driver customization will be cool. I've seen some stuff about it. I've seen some people talking about it and just talking about how it different, how cool it's going to be, and how there's all these different things. And I think it sounds great, but let's take it with a grain of salt. We haven't had this in a motorsport before. It's just going to be cool to see the drivers, and I'm super excited to try it out and get out there and either take the game seriously or not take it seriously. That's totally the fun part about it. So thank you guys for checking my stuff out. Make sure you subscribe if you like my content. I'll have another video coming soon. Make sure you check out some of my other ones if you haven't. I have got a bunch of videos talking about Forza 7 in the previous couple of weeks, so make sure you guys check those out. And thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Have a good one, guys. Thank you. One take. Woo!